Hello from the Dukascopy TV studio in Geneva. How should customer centricity look like in the financial sector? We have Denyse Drummond-Dunn in the studio. She is founder from C³Centricity. Welcome to the studio, Denyse.
Hi Daniel, thanks for inviting me.
So you recently published a book, Winning Customer Centricity is its name. So when we look for the financial sector, what are the biggest challenges and hurdles for the finance industry to win their customers?
I think the financial industry has gone through a lot of change recently, and their reputation is not the best it could be with its customers. So I think they have a challenge to get back to the customers who trusted them in the past, and I think that can only come through more transparency and openness for the industry.
As you just mentioned, so trust is like that defining thing that has been lost in the past. So how can you get a better understanding what people really need, what customers really need? How should banks, financial institutions get a better understanding what worries their clients?
I think not only the financial industry, but a lot of industries, they think about getting to know their customers by asking questions, and it's not always the best way to get information, especially on a sensitive topic such as banks or the financial industry. People don't like to admit that they might be lost or need help with their finances. So I think it's not just asking questions, it's really trying to accompany the customer in their everyday lives, because finance is an essential part of life and customers are changing very fast. So you really have to keep your finger on the pulse, and in the financial industry in particular, with the changes that are going on here in Switzerland, you've got to keep your understanding of the customer really alive by following them every day.
And you have a profound experience in the consumer goods sector. You have worked for Nestle, Gillette, Philip Morris, and so on. So can you give us an example from the consumer goods sector? What companies do well there, and maybe what could be like used for the financial world?
Well, the consumer goods companies, they have the advantage that the industry has customer in their name, or consumer. I think what they do well is they turn information into customer understanding. And I think the financial industry could learn from them, because unfortunately I think a lot of banks and financial institutions use their data to understand the business rather than understanding the customer. And I think that's where they could really learn from the CPG, the customer packaged goods industry. And just to give one example of that, the industry has a lot of information about how people invest. I mean, as I said, the financial industry has so much data that they're not using it to understand the customer. And one example of what I've been able to do with Financial Institute in the US is that we actually identified what are the customer behaviors before they have problems with either fraudulent behavior or not paying their loans back or things like this. We can actually identify behaviors that forewarn us. So in fact, you as a financial industry could actually talk to your customers before it gets too serious and find a solution for them. So that's just one example of where you use the data to understand your customers better rather than just understanding the market.
So actually, how should financial institutions better understand the emotions of their clients and their customers?
We always think about understanding customers by asking questions, but today we have the opportunity to understand customers in a new way. It's called facial coding, and we use emotional analysis to understand what consumers are really thinking. So as an example, I've worked with the Bank of New Zealand, where we ask consumers questions about their financial situation. But in fact, we didn't really care about what they were answering. We were watching how their facial expressions changed. So we could see, for example, that a customer, when they were asked about what they thought of their mortgage or their mortgage rates, would have said, okay, but their face was, okay. So in fact, they weren't feeling okay. So we could analyze their facial expression and then at the end of the interview suggest to them that maybe they talk to their bank about their mortgage. So in fact, without asking the questions, we can still understand a lot about what people are thinking just by reading their face. And that is important in a sensitive topic such as the finances.
Mm-hmm. And your book, Winning Customer Centricity, targets all kind of industries and is addressed to, but why should people from the financial world sector really read it as well?
I think it's suitable for all industries, and the financial institutes should read it because they need help with customer centricity. And the book has lots of examples. Some are from banks and such like, but there's a lot they can learn from consumer packaged goods, but also telecoms or the leisure industry, travel industry. So there's lots of examples that hopefully will inspire them to work differently and better in understanding their customers.
So really the best practices from all sorts of industries in this book. Thank you very much, Denyse Drummond-Dunn, for being here today.
Thank you, Daniel, for inviting me.
And thanks for watching. Do make sure to keep clicking back on the Dukascopy TV website for latest updates and exclusive interviews. Have a great day and see you next time.